I just made 61% on GTEC in less than an hour, and this is the potential of trading stocks if you guys know how to do it correctly. I'm still learning. I definitely am not an expert by any means, but I have a strategy that's pretty decent and pretty effective to snatch those excessive gains. So I'm gonna explain what that is today. I don't think I've shared that before on my YouTube channel. So I'm gonna talk about exactly what I look for in stocks, what can make them spike 200, 300% in a day, and how you can take advantage of that. So I'm gonna be diving into my laptop, showing you guys what my trading setup looks like and explaining exactly what I look for. So let's get into that right now. All right, so now we're live at my computer, and I just want to walk you guys through my strategy and explain what I was thinking, what my thought process was. So you can see this stock actually is still on a tear. I figured it could run a lot further than it did when I sold it. I just wanted to be sure because nothing worse than being up super big on a trade and then watching it all go away because you didn't take profits. So in this case, I decided to buy here during pre-market because it spiked up a lot. And then it faded back down, and it did this all on news. So that's the most important thing for me, is having good news and then having a low float. And you can look up the float of the stock by going to Yahoo Finance. So I can do that here. Yeah, so what I like to do is I go to finance.yahoo.com and I will type in the stock. Click on it, you go to statistics, and then you scroll down a little bit and you see the float right here. And the float in this case is 1.18 million shares. And this is super low. Anything under a 5 million float is something that has the potential to spike huge. 1 million is insane. Under 1 million is absolutely wild. But yeah, you can see in this case, it started to get some pretty crazy volume in pre-market when it had the news released, and because of that I saw the spike up, saw it come down. I saw it around here, and I figured that as soon as this pre-market ended and at 8:30 a.m. Central Time or 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, as soon as you get all this volume coming in from the actual market, it absolutely takes off. And you can see that's what happened. It dipped a little bit when the market opened, but then it just pushed and steadily rose and rose and rose, had some pullbacks. I held onto it decently long. It got pretty choppy up in here, and again I wanted to make sure that I kept my profits and didn't miss out on that because there's no worse feeling. But at this point you can see it just hit $8 high of day, still running, and I wouldn't be surprised if this hit 10 or above today. But ultimately I'm happy with the trade because it was still 60% in about an hour, which is great. Bought here, sold here, and then there's just some important I guess concepts that I want to talk about. Also, sorry if my computer is sounding pretty loud right now. I think it's dying. Brand new, $4,000 MacBook that can't handle running a trading platform, but it is what it is. So in this case I use the support and resistance lines, and if you put this here, it makes sense, man. So this was my risk down here in about the 320-ish area, and it had already bounced off of that. So I was pretty certain that that would be a good support line. And for those of you who don't know, support is just based on where the price has bounced before. And investors see this. Well, not really investors. Traders see this, and if it's bounced there before, it's probably going to bounce there again. So they start buying as soon as it hits that level, which reinforces this psychologically. And oh my gosh, this just hit $9. That is insane. It might hit 10 as I'm watching. I'm doing this live, so that's crazy. But yeah, so in this case, when it broke through 5, it always has a massive rip. The previous high is normally the new resistance. Massive rip, and then it comes back down. In this case, when it breaks through this previous high right here, it has a massive rip and comes back down, uses that previous resistance as support in the future, builds a base off of there, runs back up, rips through again. You can see when it passes this, it has a big green candle, starts to base out there, use that as the new support. Same thing going through, breaks through the top again, has a massive green candle, and it just continues on and upwards. So that's my basic trading strategy, guys. I see news, I see it's a low float stock. In this case, I got in early because I wanted to get a good entry. I knew it would be choppy from all this crazy volume that you can see coming in here. But yeah, it's definitely a good strategy. Definitely recommend trying it out. If I didn't mention this before, what float is it's the amount of shares that are available to be traded by anyone. So if you only have 1 million shares, it's like a smaller pool. So if there's a lot of buyers, it will have to increase the price. It's just simple supply and demand. So just know that the smaller the float is, the way higher the volatility is going to be on the stock. If you're trading a stock like Apple, which has, I don't even know what Apple's float is. What is Apple's float? What is that, AAPL? Let's see this real quick. If we go down to Apple's float, Apple's float is 16.98 billion. Now there's a lot more people trading Apple than trading this stock, but overall you can see the difference. Like Apple's never going to spike from, I don't know what it is now, but it's never going to spike 400% in a day. It's never going to go from 100 to 500 in a day. That would never happen with Apple because the float is so big. But in this case, there's not that many shares around to be traded, and because of that, it's a lot more likely to spike. So float. Keep an eye out for floats. Keep an eye out for news. Keep an eye out for volume, increasing volume, and then just get in early. The better entry you have, the easier it is for you to hold through choppiness like this. And ultimately, you know, I could have taken this a lot longer. I could have held this until the 9s. Again, I got in at $3.35. And it's now at $9. It's almost triple that. So yeah, anyways, that's my basic trading strategy, or at least one of them. And hopefully this helps you guys. All right, guys, that is it for today. Remember to look for those stocks that have a very low float, a low amount of shares to be traded by people, so they're extra volatile. Look for that news to cause the initial spike, and then as these other traders come in, you'll see the increase in volume. That's when you want to get in. A lot of times you can do this in pre-market. Robinhood allows you to do this between 8 and 8:30 when the market actually opens. So that's when I bought in at, like, I don't know, 8:20 or something like that. So definitely lots of opportunities there. As soon as the market opens and a ton of volume comes in, these things normally shoot up, and they have the potential to run 300% a day, 500% a day, which is absolutely insane. So make sure you take advantage of this. Hopefully you guys can utilize this strategy. Remember to subscribe, smash the like button, notification bell, follow me on Instagram, all that jazz. You guys know what to do. And I'll see you in the next video, and let's grow better together. Preguntar, bebé, dime por qué te mientes. No puedes esconder todo lo que tú por mí sientes.